So the Halo TV show is due to release actually pretty soon, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this series turns out. But a lot of you may remember all the way back to the Xbox One's original reveal, where they announced that a TV show based on Halo would be coming soon, and that was a long time ago. And even before that, there had been talks about a Halo movie being in the works for years and years. It's not only the video games where it seems like Halo runs into some turbulent production issues, the movies and TV shows seem to deal with it also. So we wanted to take a look and get caught up with the crazy history of the development of the Halo movie / TV show and where we are now. Let's take a closer look. But first, to understand this, we're going to have to go all the way back to 2005, where talks initially started for a potential Halo movie and how this ended up falling apart, which led to the 2013 announcement for the Halo series, which, well, we all know how this is going now. A lot of you probably already know about this, so we won't spend too much time going over the original movie. But yeah, all the way back in 2005, it was confirmed that a Halo film was in the works and was in development until sometime in 2006 when it was canceled. It was supposed to be produced by Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh and then be directed by Neil Blomkamp. And there were actually quite a bit of progress that was made on this film in the pre-production stages. Costumes and props were already being in development during the pre-production time, and if you've ever watched Halo Landfall, that promotional series for Halo 3, it was actually test footage filmed by Blomkamp during the early days of production to kind of get a feel for what Halo the movie could end up looking like. But as plans eventually fell through, a lot of the team working on Halo ended up moving on to work on the movie District 9, where you can actually see a lot of prop designs that likely were intended for Halo show up there instead. Pretty much during this time, the movie went into full-on production hell, with rumors that it was still in pre-production going through 2007 and in 2008, and it wasn't until 2009 where Blomkamp actually denied that he was working on the project and finally confirmed he was no longer involved in any type of Halo movie. And this is where some things started to shift at Microsoft for what they were planning to do with Halo in trying to bring Halo into the film industry. Apparently in 2008, Stuart Beattie, who is an Australian screenwriter who worked on G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, had written a screenplay based on Eric Nyland's Halo: The Fall of Reach. And around 2009, rumors started circulating that Steven Spielberg had read that screenplay and was in active negotiations to produce a future Halo feature film. So Steven Spielberg ended up being kind of a name often popping up with the Halo movie that was supposed to happen in the late 2000s, early 2010s era. And as a lot of this stuff just kind of remained rumors and speculation, we did finally see Forward Unto Dawn release in 2012, which was the first ever feature-length film in the Halo universe, though it definitely was on a limited budget. Fans are still holding out for that big movie budget Halo movie to sometime come out, especially if Steven Spielberg himself is interested in working on it. And then 2013 came along, where they announced the brand new future of the Xbox, with the third iteration of Xbox being revealed, called the Xbox One. And boy, was reception there mixed, because it really seemed like Microsoft's focus with Xbox was not on games, but on things like TV and movies. And just the whole way they introduced the Xbox One definitely wasn't the most comforting when it came to fans watching what Xbox was going to do in the future. Though during that Xbox reveal event, Xbox Entertainment Studios president Nancy Tellem had the big reveal that Steven Spielberg would be creating a live-action TV show based on the Halo game franchise. They even showed Steven Spielberg talking about working with Microsoft or something. It was really weird, but also incredibly exciting for Halo fans who have been waiting for some sort of big reveal. And at the very least, if this new Xbox was going to be so focused on things like TV and movies and whatnot, if it is at least the platform that's going to let us watch the Halo TV series, then people were maybe a little forgiving towards it, or at least the most hardcore Halo fans were, myself included. And I still decided to buy an Xbox One just because I had to hold out to see what Halo was going to have in the future. So hey, now we officially have a Halo television series announced announced. And this is the so-called project that has been announced and in the works ever since that announcement in 2013 that eventually led to where we are now with this new Halo series on its way. But it seems like originally the series was supposed to debut around the end of 2015 to coincide with Halo 5 Guardians. In May of 2014, Bonnie Ross said in an interview that 2015 won't simply be just the year of Halo 5 Guardians, saying, and I quote, "It'll also be the year that offers us a unique opportunity, the opportunity to invite old friends and new audiences into the universe through the Halo television series, launched as a unique collaboration with Steven Spielberg and some of the finest creative minds in the business, a series that will stand alone as well as complement and enrich the game experience. We'll have more to share on the Halo television series as we near its projected fall 2015 release." And just 2 months later, Microsoft ended up shutting down the Xbox Entertainment Studios, which had only been opened up a couple of years earlier, meaning that it was very obvious at this time Xbox was trying to pivot and recoup some of the massive losses they were seeing with the Xbox One's release. So for the following months, things were really quiet when it came to what was going on with this Halo television series, though there was confirmation that this series was still in active development. And it's likely during this time where Xbox was pivoting away from trying to make the Xbox One its own media platform, Microsoft might have also been spinning up a deal with Showtime to try to get a TV show on there, or get this TV show concept over there. So Microsoft might have been getting a little buddy-buddy over there with Showtime, and that was cool and all. And as 2014 was moving forward, we still did get to see a Halo-type live-action adaptation. It just wasn't the TV series, in the form of Halo Nightfall, which was actually produced by Ridley Scott. And this was, of course, to not only hype up the Master Chief Collection, the most perfect and most fulfilling Halo game to date, and also get people ready and hyped for Halo 5 Guardians, but it also was kind of a test to see how a live-action Halo would maybe do. And the feature film that was released in parts kind of had a mixed reception. There was some good parts about it, but ultimately it wasn't the most outstanding and definitive Halo live action experience that fans had been wanting for years. And there was a lot going on at Microsoft. The Master Chief Collection launched in a completely broken state, so hype and excitement for all things Halo was definitely dwindling fast after that holiday season, and the Xbox One also not being the hippest console to own probably didn't help things move along or expedite any processes either. And then there was more silence while things came closer to that original release date that Microsoft had hoped for. It was seeming more and more likely that things weren't ending up happening. There was no new details popping up other than confirmation that it was still happening, and 2015 came and went, Halo 5 Guardians released, and there still was no television series anywhere to be seen. And while a lot of people expected the TV series to launch to coincide with Halo 5 Guardians, instead we got the animated film The Fall of Reach, which was cool, but it seemed very apparent that this would be the replacement promotional tie-in, and we probably weren't getting the live action film then either. In 2016, Kiki Wolfkill confirmed that the project was still in development, but that was about everything that anyone knew about it. In 2017, there wasn't any more news either, other than just more confirmation that it's still in the works, and that they gotta get everything right between Steven Spielberg, Showtime, and Microsoft to make sure they do the Halo series right. And finally, after so much time of no news, 2018 actually saw the first little bit of news on this Halo TV show, where Entertainment Weekly reported that the Halo TV show was finally officially greenlit by Showtime, and it was being noted as their most ambitious series ever, where they announced that the show would be greenlit for a 10-episode series. At this point, the show was expected to begin production in early 2019 for a release later on that year. Then in the summer of 2017, it finally seemed like things were starting to move along, where Showtime officially greenlit the Halo show for 10 episodes. And while this was sounding really reassuring, it wasn't too long before a little bit more information was released a little bit later that summer, where we interestingly got a little bit more information. Firstly, that it would focus on the Master Chief, and secondly, that the show would respect the canon while also seeing a delay to 2020. And Showtime even stated that it's a new story, but we're being incredibly respectful of the canon and working with the Microsoft 343 people to make sure we don't violate any of that. And at the time, it was announced that director Rupert Wyatt would be taking on the helm for the show. However, in December of 2018, 2019, Wyatt chose to leave because of scheduling issues due to the extended time that the production would need, suggesting it would take extra months or even years for completion. A couple months later, in April 2019, they announced that Pablo Schreiber would be playing the Master Chief. Some of you may know him from Orange is the New Black. And at this point, interestingly enough, while the show was claimed to be trying to stay faithful to the franchise, they also, in this same press release, announced that a new coming Australian actor, Yaren Ha, would be joining the cast as a new created character known as Khan Ah, who is described as a shrewd, audacious 16-year-old from the outer colonies who meets Master Chief at a fateful time for them both. And then by August 2nd, 2019, Natasha McElhone got casted as both Catherine Halsey and Cortana. And along with that, there were some new announcements saying there would be a couple of other actors brought on to play various new Spartan characters never seen before. And it was also heavily insinuated that this series would showcase Master Chief's face, unlike the video game franchise. Now, the only thing is, during this August 2nd, 2019 press release, the show ended up seeing another delay, this time to 2021. And while we were seeing all of these new characters, they did go on to iterate that there's all kinds of new drama that they'll be exploring, but we will stay faithful to the canon, and we're not going to violate anything that's in the canon. Then there was an update later on in November announcing that more actors had been brought on and casted for Captain Jacob Keyes and Dr. Miranda Keyes, played by Danny Sapani and Olive Gray, respectively. There definitely were some fans starting to bring up questions at this point as to how accurate the show was intending on staying within the bounds of the existing Halo lore, as also it was announced that there was a new character Charlie Murphy would be playing named Makee, and Makee is apparently an orphaned human raised by the Covenant to hate her own people, which definitely isn't something I remember happening in Halo 2. And during all of these more recent press releases, it definitely seemed like Steven Spielberg's involvement was maybe taking a back seat. His name was still attached to the project as now just a producer, not an executive producer, and his production company wasn't really involved anymore, so it was also worth noting that the project kind of spun into a slightly different direction. But finally, after all of the hurdles and delays and casting stuff, the show finally entered production officially in December of 2019, and filming was underway until March, when production got shut down with the beginning of the pandemic, and the first 5 episodes already filmed. Now, by summer of the pandemic starting, it seemed like it was rumored production would resume at the end of 2020, and costs of production already exceeding $40 million. And by the beginning of the following year, it was looking like the show would see another delay, this time putting the delay into 2022, but the announcement was that Halo would be moving off of Showtime and over to Paramount Plus, which is a sister company to Showtime and CBS. Also, towards the end of this development period, it was announced that Natasha McElhone, who was originally casted to play Catherine Halsey and Cortana, would no longer be playing the role of Cortana due to the production delays that occurred while filming this series. Now, of course, the production delays were the main thing that was cited for the reason for this switch up in the cast, though some fans speculate that it could be a little bit more going on, and that at the end of the day, maybe they wanted to have a Cortana portrayal more closely in line to the version from the video games, so Jen Taylor was brought back in to reprise her role as Cortana, as she has voiced this character all the way since the first Halo game. Now, with all these changes coming together with the new director and the show moving forward, there were also some changes in the showrunner role. Originally, Kyle Killen was the showrunner for the show ever since production started, but sometime during filming, they brought on a second showrunner, Stephen Kane, since Kyle Killen chose to leave, mostly stating scheduling conflicts. Now, with Kane taking over the show, he did see it through till the end of production of the first season. However, it was announced sometime after filming had wrapped up that if the show were to go on for a season 2, Kane would not be returning for the follow-up season, which at the time, there was no confirmation there would even be a season 2. Now, more recently, they have announced a season Season 2 for the Halo television series, and while there isn't an official announcement just yet as to who will replace Kane in that role, there is speculation that it'll probably be one of the lead producers who is currently working on the show. Through the end of 2021, we started to see new teasers dropping for the first time, showing a little look at what the Halo TV show would look like. However, it was announced that the show isn't going to be a part of the main Halo canon anymore, and is now going to be called something new, called the Halo Silver timeline, that exists separated from the video game series, though still inspired by the games. It might also have to do with the fact that there are allegedly some Spartans that are a part of the Silver team that might play a role into why they chose that as the name. This decision was made in order to, quote, differentiate it from core canon and both protect core canon and protect the television stories, and by that they meant being able to give themselves the chance to evolve both and for both to be what they need to be in their mediums without colliding with one another. Generally, it's probably a good change since some of the characters did seem a little bit out there, and it felt like they had already broken through the canon line with just some of the info that was released ahead of time. Now, since then, we've seen a couple of full-length trailers showing off a lot more of the show, and it does seem to have very impressive visuals, which were probably a massive part of this show during the post-production phase. And there are some aspects of the trailer that looked awesome, and there were some aspects that were a little off, like the AK-47s or the 2002 Chevrolet Tahoe, just kind of parked in the background at some planet out here. But hey, whatever, we'll check the show out and hopefully it'll be really good. Actually, we want to know what your impressions are from before the show's released, if you think this show will be top-notch, like a really good quality show, or do you think this is going to be another one of those yikes moments? Let us know what your thoughts are, and if we get enough comments and likes on this video, maybe we will do more videos on the Halo TV show as episodes release or as the series releases, and I think that could be really fun just to do something a little bit different but still very in line with Halo. But that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. We'll see you guys all next time with a brand new video.